Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empowered series, season two. We're back and we're glad to be back. And we're kicking off this amazing new season with an amazing lady. Her name is Chioma Diru, and she's going to tell you a lot more about herself anyway. But let me just start off by saying that Chioma is a woman of many parts. She's an author, storyteller, creative writing coach, a wife, and mother, to mention a few. So many aspects of her identity. Her love for writing overtook her place as a lawyer, and she has never looked back since then. From the BBC Media Action to USAID, UN Women, including Africa Magic shows, her works have penetrated several quarters and borders. Chioma also has a heart for children, as you will hear, and her first storybook, titled Solidarity, was shortlisted for the Association of Nigerian Authors Children's Literature Prize. And her second for children book is a biography that's titled Mazi Mbonu Ojike, The Boycott King. I would like to welcome Chioma, who has also generously donated some copies of her books, Solidarity, and over to you, Chioma. Welcome. Welcome to the Empowered series.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're glad to have you here. Let's start off by I talked a little bit about you, but I know there's much more. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. I'll say that for over 2 decades, I've been consistently writing what people either read, watch, or listen to in the case of radio dramas. An introvert that likes to meet people, funny enough. Then, what else? Okay, I'm from the southeast, but I've spent more of my life in the southwest and in north central. And I'm the girl who the whole family hoped to be a boy, but here we are.
And we're so glad, by the way, that it turned out that way. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. Okay, so that's a great start. And let's talk about what you do. What do you do, and what is your motivation for what you do?
Okay, a writer, the more complex the creativity and all that. But simply put, story is my passion. It's what I do. Academic,
Chioma, sorry, Chioma, can you slow down a little bit so we can hear the words? Yes.
okay. So I was saying I'm actually a lawyer by training, but I'm a creative writer and storyteller by passion. Yes. So at the point, my love for creative writing overtook my love for law practice because I actually enjoy law, but I enjoy storytelling more. And so I decided to be storytelling more. And the basic reason, maybe I can tell a short story of why I started. So back in school, I wrote a short story, and a friend of mine read it. And um, some days later, we're having some kind of arguments with some other people, like a discussion, and she kept insisting that no, that she knows what she's talking about, that there's this family I know about, that this happened, and that happened to them. I was wondering, like, that's my story. So I went out to that one. Sister, stop. That is story you read that I wrote. You don't know those people. And so, are you sure? I said, yes. And that was what I gave you to read. And that was when it dawned on me how influential storytelling can be. So that the time and effort you're spending in the law court persuading people, that's one kind of persuasion, but storytelling has a more beautiful kind of persuasion to me, where people absorb the lessons without even realizing it. So it's a very powerful tool. So I decided to stick to it. That
So you
was why.
came from being a lawyer to a storyteller, and it started from back in school when you shared a
Yeah.
story, right, with a friend, and she thought it was real life. She thought it happened to her. Correct? That's amazing.
Yes.
So your motivations are you feel that stories can have impact.
Very true. Very true. And I've seen it happen a whole lot. There's a whole lot of stories that I've told. I see people inspired. I see people change their minds. Like, I see people change long-standing opinions on certain matters just because you put it in the form of a story, and it's like painting a picture. Instead of pouring so many words at them, you're painting a whole picture, and like it's like they're looking at a mirror and they can see everything at a glance. So it's a very powerful changing mindset for the better. So
Certainly.
that's why.
I can really testify to the power of storytelling as a tool for behavior change, as you said. Um, and maybe here is worth asking this question about representation and how powerful, because this is a concept that's being discussed globally, how powerful it is when a person watching or hearing a story can identify themselves in that story, the kind of stories that we tell ourselves on the continent and otherwise. Would you like to speak a little bit to that about representation?
Okay, so like I said, people storytelling is another form of traveling for the reader. So, for example, if I've never been to South Africa, when I pick up a book written by a South African, whatever I see there, I'm going to take it in hook, line, and sinker. So, it's very important that we represent each other, we represent ourselves properly in storytelling. I'm not saying that we should now all be angels floating around, but at the same time, it's important that we strike a balance so that people don't get the wrong impression about our society, because there will be many that might never have the privilege of coming to our society, but what they see is what they say, and that's it.
So true. And I don't think when our film industry started off, we did the best job of portraying ourselves. But I think that has greatly, greatly improved. And, people
Improve.
are able to
Yeah.
see more of who we are. Okay, let's talk about challenges. So always nice when people come on and they've achieved so much, but we know there have been
Of
challenges
course.
along the way. So tell us a little bit about that.
Hmm. Okay. So I'll say the first challenge was myself. I had to I had to make that choice between practicing law and facing writing. I don't know how to say generally because of the way the society perceives. You're a lawyer, you mean a lawyer, you want to go and start acting play. But people that knew I could write were like, what are you doing with law? When you can write so well. So for me it was so confusing, especially because I love both very much. But I had to finally make that decision and take the book by the horn and decide to face writing school. It wasn't okay, so which brings me to the second challenge. It wasn't easy finding the right platforms at first, and finding the kind of writers that I would like to interact with. Yes. But with time, with exposure and all that, I was able to find my feet eventually concerning that. The the third challenge was convincing my parents my siblings were my biggest, till now, I can say my biggest supporters. But my parents, it took a while. It took a while, but they eventually bought over, especially when now they hear things like BBC says, hey, okay. And then they also started bragging about me later to their friends. Yeah, so I think my parents were another challenge, but I thank God they finally saw the light, if I will put it that way. Then I would say the fourth challenge was being a woman, in the sense that sometimes people just expect that because you're a lady that you might not be able to meet certain standards, especially when maybe you're right pregnant or you're married. They just this one that has children running up and down. How is she going to be able to cope? But that was the part where I had to do more than the ordinary. So there are times when it's required that you have a team of writers working together. So in such situations, what I had to do was to prove more than what the others could do. I had to put in, like, if everybody was expected to put in 100%, I had to either 150% or 200%, just to prove to them that my children being around was not a problem and it was a challenge. And I'll say it worked. Yes, it worked. It even helped me get stronger. So now I'm able to cope with more challenging circumstances. So when I see ladies that feel like maybe having their children has ended their career or things like that, I try to encourage them that no, and that's not the case. You just need to put in a bit more effort, and in the end, you turn out stronger for it.
Thank you for sharing those challenges. I can imagine the conversations of really law to writing, and it wouldn't be so nicely put. I know. And yes, absolutely. I think you've touched. I mean, I'm not going to tease your parents on this call, but I can imagine. But yeah, it's usually this way. They end up still being our biggest supporters and just encourage us along
Yeah,
the way. And this point you mentioned about, that myth on one end of, oh, women can have it all, a career, the family, the picket fence, all of that, and not being able to. But, women like you
mm-hmm.
show us that it's possible, and it's a question of obviously supporting structures and supporting people, partners, and so on
Yes.
around us. But it's also about the determination, because if the individual herself is not determined, of course, it's not going to work. So thank you for sharing that example. Those three challenges, actually. Um, so let's talk about education and writing generally. Why is it so important? And we know the obvious ones. Oh, we want to grow up, have an income, and so on. But also, what kind of opportunities can it bring to girls and women?
I'll say the first thing at the top of my head is respect. I don't know why, because left to me, I would have said education broadens your mind. But um, for me personally, apart from broadening my mind, I've seen it bring respect. Okay, for example, like I said personally, when people show up for when they show up and you're a writer, storyteller, and later on they find out that you're a lawyer, it's like, wow, oh yeah, so um that impression that okay, they're just finding how to feed and all that flies out of the window, because for you to be doing this, then you really want to do this because you had another option that was really good. So I think it brings respect to a good extent. So in whatever you're doing, when education takes effort, education is not easy. It takes effort, yes. So when people see that you've gone far in education, or you've taken the pains to accomplish or achieve or acquire more knowledge, consciously or unconsciously, it doesn't have to be, it can be anything. There's a level of respect that it brings. along with it, and people tend to take it more seriously.
Okay. And that's so, I mean, your words, I mean, you're a writer. Because you are indeed a writer. You speak of respect, how important, how education actually brings respect. And yeah, I've seen that so many times where a person, is underestimated until they know what education they have, and they're really surprised. And the image that went through my head just very quickly was you from writing, I don't know what you call them, briefs, right, on court cases,
Yes.
to writing stories. I think it's just amazing, the transition. And yeah, the opportunities are endless, it seems. As you said, opens up our minds, and it's never ending, is it? Right? It keeps on. It keeps,
No. So is your mic muted? So your mic is muted.
how long has my mic been muted? I'm not sure.
Just about 20,
Oh,
15
okay. So
seconds.
yes,
No.
that was weird. I was asking if you could tell us about the book you generously donated to Empowering Women for Excellence Initiative.
Okay. So the title of the book is Sodality. The writer is a tale of friendship. Sodality is my baby in the sense that like I said, I read a long time, but Sodality was my first attempt at writing for children. Yeah, it was my first attempt at writing something for children, and when I was done with the manuscript, I was really nervous because I wasn't sure if I had written. I kept telling people, I'm not sure if I've written a book for children or a book about children. But the encouragement I got from some of my fellow writers was just publish and let's see the feedback and people's reactions. And I'm really happy. I'm really happy that I took that step because um, I don't mean to brag, but everybody that has read the book, both funny enough, both children and adults, they all love it, including Professor Jimi Solanke. I sent a copy to him, and he really likes it. So I was really happy.
Sorry,
You know,
Chioma,
it's kind of
we're missing some very important things. Because of the connection, what was his feedback? Professor Jimi Shalanke, you said, what was his feedback? Oh, the network is really bad. We're not getting it. Sorry, I'm not getting what you said. Could you repeat?
Could you repeat?
Did I read it? Oh, I can hardly hear you. It's breaking up, and these are some of the challenges we have in the global south with our internet connections. Let's try again. So, um what was his feedback?
Okay, it said, as someone passionate about issues of children, as a format, I'm impressed by the style of presentation of the novel. I commend the author's sense of literary innovation. This is a nice output that deserves attention and serves as an important avenue for inculcating habits in children.
So we got some of that. Is that in the foreword in the book? Because I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, it's that the cover page. I think it's something before.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Okay, so once you get a copy of the book, you're going to hear what Professor Solanke said about the book, correct?
Yes. So that was what I had from the first set. It's only so second set as is.
The second set had it. So we will probably be getting that quote and adding it to the links below this video. It would be great to have that. Um, we're going to, unfortunately, our connection is so bad, but I would want you to share any advice or messages that you have for those watching, those girls and women who are watching you. Okay, I cannot get you. Chioma, I cannot get you at all. Can you type? Can you type? Can you type
Yes, I
in the chat box and I can read it? And yes, while you're doing that, I will just say a little bit more about what we are marking as a result of this generous donation. We're marking the World Literacy Day in 2023, and we are seeking to encourage a reading culture amongst not just girls and women, but amongst everyone. We've learned that education is incredibly important. It opens up opportunities. It opens up the world to us as individuals. And I just realized something that I mentioned. The book was called Solidarity, and this is that concept of reading, seeing what you want to see. So it is important to read, incredibly important to read, and we want to encourage reading amongst our beneficiaries and amongst everyone that we interact with. The books that have been donated by Chioma Diru will go to beneficiaries of our programs, including those from the Educational Subsidy Program, as well as the Learning Without Limits programs, in addition to other beneficiaries, but specifically to those. And Chioma's message is her advice, her message is to be kind to people, but remember to be kind to yourself, because we sometimes forget we are the first person we can rely on to look after ourselves. Spoken like a true writer, for sure. Chioma, even though we were not able to extend our conversation, we want to say a big thank you, and we appreciate your donation. We appreciate your time, and congratulations on the nomination. Hoping that the award comes through. We'll be very happy to celebrate with you on that. And just to say thank you and close for another episode of the Empowered series. Stay tuned. Chioma, thank you so much for your time, and see you soon. How can we find you though? Find you on social media, correct? We can find you on social media.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll be adding those handles to the video, and please, everyone, get a copy. Come to EWI, get a copy, or get in touch with Chioma herself and support her work, as we want to do for all women professionals that are inspiring women all over the world. Thank you so much, Chioma, and take care.
Thanks for having me.